A Six on Your Side investigation into a number of complaints about a professional photographer.
Some tell 6 News the photographer failed to show up on some of the most important days in their lives. Mike McKnight brings us both sides of the story for a clear picture of the controversy.
It was a bride's worst nightmare.
A friend took pictures on her wedding day because Macy Blake focused on a cancellation message from Schirmbeck Photography.
Yeah, it was 3 hours before I walked down the aisle. I had no professional photographer. I had nothing to work with. Had no time to get anybody there.
Keeping half her engagement photos, the owner of Schirmbeck Photography, Kelsey Livengood, refunded Macy $500 and gave me an explanation for missing the client's big day.
I made it 30 minutes into my drive, had to pull over into a gas station, had a seizure in the gas station, and went straight to the emergency room. And I messaged her as soon as I could and said, I'm sorry, I had an epileptic emergency.
Andrea Johnson is grateful her aunt took photos after the same wedding photographer didn't show up.
She messaged me 3 hours before my wedding that she was not coming due to her son broke his arm and she was in the ER with him.
The photographer says it was actually her daughter with the emergency, but she's refunded about $300 of the customer's $500 at $50 a week.
If I owe anyone a refund, they're more than welcome to come talk to me and tell me and remind me, that I owe them a refund.
But refunds aside, Christy Blankenship of CB Wedding Services says a half dozen brides called the last 2 years asking her to step in when Schirmbeck Photography canceled.
Anywhere from day of to 8 days before. And it's just, their hearts are broken because they're out of budget at that point.
It doesn't sound right to me, no. In my 12 years of doing photography, I've maybe had to cancel 4 weddings, maybe.
And it's not just weddings, but family portraits. I had 2 customers tell me they had photo sessions scheduled for this arboretum. Lindsay Lundeen scheduled photos for last Halloween.
She had canceled when we were already ready to go, and was trying to reschedule again, but the schedules weren't going to work out for us.
The photographer refunded Angela Bosack $80.
And we showed up at our location 15 minutes before it was supposed to start, and she messaged me back on her business page saying that she had canceled due to her husband taking their card.
The Better Business Bureau gives Schirmbeck Photography an F rating.
A lot of the complaints that we forwarded to the company, they've not responded to. We did notify them that we were investigating a pattern of complaints.
But Schirmbeck Photography photographer Kelsey Livengood says she books 150 photo sessions for the holidays and 30 weddings a year.
Do you feel that you've canceled too much at the last minute?
If I'm canceling a lot, I wouldn't have the full business that I have right now. I do have good reviews, they just people aren't posting them, you know what I mean?
And if forced to cancel, the photographer says she'll develop a plan to make refunds.
They just need to come to me and let me know, and I will make it right. Bottom line.
Some clients tell me they're still owed money by Schirmbeck Photography, but special memories that deserve a trained eye are priceless and can't be recaptured.
These are pictures I'll never get back. I'll never be able to redo them.
On your side, Mike McKnight, 6 News.
Better Business Bureau says the Bureau will work with the photographer to resolve complaints if she asks for help. The photographer tells us she plans to contact the Bureau. Nebraska Attorney General has already provided mediation that led to the monthly repayment plan for one client.